Hi there, my name is Matthew Brick. I'm a Valor Christian High School student, brother of four. I'm a wrestler, and I'm out to find interesting stories to talk to about, make connections, and hopefully point people to God. Let's get this, the Brick House Podcast.
This is Brickstone. This is your house. Presenting the Brick House Podcast. The Brick House. Here comes the boom.
Guys, my name is Matthew Brick, and welcome back to the Brick House Podcast. I'm so excited about this episode. It's going to be a fun one. Make sure to like and follow and share. Let's go. Today I'm here with LeRoy Matticks. He's a visionary, entrepreneur, spiritual coach, and the founder of MindGym. With unwavering determination, he transforms the way that society perceives and handles mental health. LeRoy has embarked on a mission to bring about a positive change to the lives of countless individuals. Hey there, LeRoy. How are you doing?
I'm good, Matthew. It's so good to see you. Thanks for having me on your new podcast. Excited for you and proud of you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm actually really excited about this. I don't know. I'm excited. I'm really excited for the people that are going to be listening to this. Basically, I just want to get right into it. You found MindGym, and could you tell us a little bit about what is MindGym and what got you started into it? Like, why did you start it, and how things are going?
Yeah, really good question, Matthew. How I got here was I was reading all kinds of books on really performance. I'm a very mind-centered kind of person about how do we get the most out of our minds and out of our bodies. And I was reading all these books, and they were these elite 100-mile people doing things for hours and hours were doing neurofeedback, and I'd never heard of neurofeedback. And so really what drove me was this performance. So I signed up my son, who was a high school athlete at the time, and found somebody that I thought could do this pretty well. So we signed him up, and we saw some really significant good changes. But then I just was out running one day, and this is where I get most of my ideas, because I run every single day, and I felt a call. Literally, like God saying I was supposed to stop doing what I was doing, my businesses, and go all into this, and came up with MindGym because I'm at the gym a lot.
Yeah, okay.
That's how I meet everybody I know pretty much. But then something significant happened in our lives when I really just got going at it. My son, who's now running our Tampa location, was at his first year of college playing basketball and was suicidal. And when as a dad, you get that call, which I'm shocked he called. I mean, because he's wired like me, and with the kids we usually hear about, he's one of those that you'd never think this is even possible. And that's why we want to warn parents what to look for a lot of times when we start seeing certain signs, right? So we can get help. But what we did was, we had a great talk. I had him come home immediately. I flew his brother out to drive him back. And we started in doing neurofeedback. And this is all we did, Matthew. And he was back in college within 3 months, a different school, practicing because I knew he'd need basketball. Ended up having a great career, and now is working on his master's degree and running MindGym Tampa, and hasn't had any setbacks with any of it. So I'm all in when it comes to helping, because I don't want to meet a dad or a mom or anybody that says, hey, nobody reached out. Because we have such a stigma, right? Mental health. Well, what we call it is brain health.
Okay.
It'd be like if you broke your leg or something. Right? We can see it, but we can't see when somebody's struggling in their thoughts or what's going on. Right? If we could wrap our head with a big bandage, right? And say, hey, my day sucks. I'm struggling right now. Right? And then encourage, who's ever listening to this with kids or any of that, reach out. There are places like me and other great places that really do have alternative ways to come at this. And then we're not saying, you're broken. No, you have it's a disease. You got a problem, and we can actually fix it. in a hurry usually, and turn people's lives around. So our thing is here. You change your mind, you change your life, right?
Yeah, I mean, I can testify to that, like not, being there, but not truly like feeling like not having a group around me that can build me up, or, like being lonely despite being in a crowd. But I think the people lately, me going to youth group, like I've shared it with my dad, I've shared it with people, but like youth group for me, that has really been something for me. I finally, because like, maybe some people know, maybe some people don't, but I did go to this wilderness place and I didn't feel like I got built up there. I felt like I got taken down, or like I wasn't, I wasn't being built up. And then, going into freshman year, that wasn't easy for me. And then sophomore year, but since last March, and then going to youth group every week, every Wednesday, and just yeah.
And you're finding a purpose right now, right?
Yeah,
so
I am.
And that's the thing. And guess what? The wilderness probably did more for you than sometimes.
Oh, for sure.
Right? Because all of us go through, and I've gone through those stages, right?
Yeah.
Where we're in the wilderness, or we think it's the wilderness, but it is. Who are we around? Who are we hanging out with? Who's encouraging us and lifting us up, right?
Well, I heard this quote. So, it was really fascinating. My friend actually sent me this podcast to me, who was from my youth group. But like, so these two horses individually, they can pull like 5,000 pounds. And it was actually a sermon, a recorded sermon. But the guy that was speaking, he kind of took it out of. It's kind of like or it's just like a fact. I guess they studied that two horses, each individual horse can pull 5,000 pounds. But together they can pull like 12,000 pounds. And realistically, you would think like 10,000. But as friends, and they see this even in humans, but when you're with someone that you care about and that you can relate with, you multiply each other's strengths.
The power of togetherness.
Yeah.
And like-minded people, right? For us to be on a mission, right? We can all, like you're bringing awareness to mental health today, or brain health, right? Right? So this could make somebody stronger, or maybe reach out to somebody like us or somebody else, right? That's going to give them strength to say, it's actually power to ask for help. It's called surrender. I'm finally giving up on myself and what I think, and saying, I need help today, right?
Yeah, so then I'd ask, like, what can a person do to change their life and, like, pursue a perfect God, even though that they're broken?
Oh.
Yeah.
Is that a question for me?
Yes, it is, yeah. Like,
well, I think the biggest thing is I think so many times, Matthew, we look at Christians and people, and if somebody's not, and they're like, man, they're hypocrites, they're this and that, and we're not looking at who God is. And that would be my challenge. Look at who this guy Jesus is, right? The Father, right? God came down to earth in Jesus. If we look at him and go, man, what's he about? Right? What is this warrior that came down? He's painted as this he's a flat out warrior. Right? And he changed things radically in how he thought, how he talked to people, and he challenged the system, and that's what they didn't like. And that's what we need to do, and what I want to do here is disrupt the system that we think is perfect, and let's do this and that to help people. When a lot of times we just need to step into the gap, right? Bring us, share our stories. Like, I'm a broken dude, right? I've been a hypocrite a lot, right? But I keep coming back to this Jesus, and and that's what I always tell people. I'm not trying to be a good Christian. I'm trying to be a follower of Jesus. I want to follow what he says. Who's this dude and the things that he said, right? Yeah. And then the rest of it will help people maybe see a different way.
Yeah. So then I'd ask, like, what has your spiritual journey been like? And maybe as a child or a high school, like, what was your spiritual journey been like, and what is it now?
Man, I like that one. And I've been actually working through a lot of that. So I was brought in a very legalistic church.
What does that mean?
All kinds of rules.
Okay.
All kinds of stuff.
Like practices and...
Not really practices. It was more that you're going to hell because you're so bad all the time. There was none of this loving God. So literally my walk, Matthew, was we were in church Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night. So I knew the Bible through and through. Like to epic levels, right? But it was pounded in, and I didn't know. I literally realized when I was 40 years old that I didn't even know who Jesus was. And I was brought up in the church, baptized and everything. I didn't know this loving Jesus was even out there until my mentor told me. And this was through, I was doing an Ironman in Germany. And I literally had a breakdown on the bike where I started crying because Jesus told me. It's like this. It's a voice inside of you, but you feel like God's literally saying it, but it's just like, it's a thought, but the power comes over you and it says, hey, you're done doing the Ironman.
Yeah.
And that was my identity, because I am an obsessive person. When I'm in, I'm all in. So I finished, and I said, well, can I at least finish the race? So
Yeah.
So I finished the race. I went and took my bike apart, and I had 5 guys there that were doing their first Ironman that I was training.
Okay. Yeah.
So I told them I was quitting the Ironman. They started laughing at me. That God spoke to me. They thought that was hilarious. And then I was like, huh. But then I came home and met with my mentor.
Mm-hmm.
A week later, he drew this diagram. And through this diagram he drew, and this guy is just beautiful at how he talks and articulates Jesus. And he goes, I think you're supposed to start a Friday group for men.
Well, that's what you're doing now, right?
It's been going on for 19 years.
Whoa. Okay.
And I told him he was nuts. But I went out to my truck and started crying, because I'm like, I don't even know Jesus, and my mentor's telling me to start a group. I started with 3 dudes. Now hundreds of guys have come through some of the teachings that are right of what I've learned about walking with him as a broken guy that thought he knew God or Jesus, and I didn't know either one of them. I just knew this fear-based faith that didn't attract people. So now I'm more of an underground. I kind of come at people in different ways and talk about these old books and these old sayings without saying the Bible, because I want people to ask questions, and then they'll find out it's the Bible, or that there's a movement going on, and that the things they're looking at are actually the fruits of the Spirit.
Yeah.
Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness. That's what we're all really after, and people don't get it, right? So that is where I'm at, and I'm still trying to follow Jesus every day the best I can, and right?
So then that would make me kind of like question, like, how does a person want to or take the steps to achieve a joyous life, or everyone says that you have this purpose. How do you, one, know what your purpose is, and then like chase it? I don't know.
Man, these are good questions, Matthew. Well, so let's process that, because we do say that a lot. Well, find your purpose. Well, people are like, I don't know my purpose. All of us have something that God's put us here. And sometimes, Matthew, it's just being faithful where we're planted. Everybody says I need God to move me where he wants me. God ain't moving you anywhere. He wants us to be faithful right where we're planted. So if it's kids at school, like, how can you just be faithful to what he's saying today? To trust his word, his faith. Remember, faith is unseen. Yeah. We move into faith. We move into action with him. And sometimes for guys like me that are very go-getters, I have to just step back and let God work through things, right? And that's when we talk to people, because remember, joy, everybody's like, well, I just want to be happy. Well, happiness is just a choice. Yeah. Joy is something, even when stuff's going on. Can I dance in the rain? Can I dance in the challenges, like because I know, exactly, that he's leading me, and I know things are going to be fine because he's working. And it's easy to say when we're not in something or challenges aren't coming at me, but that's when I display joy, is when the stuff's hard, that I know that this Jesus that I'm following walks on water. He walks on storms, right?
Well, yeah, something that has been communicated to me from a youth group leader is like, what happens if your purpose just today, and like, obviously you want maybe a long-term or even an immediate goal or goals like sports or whatnot, but I don't know, it's kind of like perspective change. What happens if your purpose was for only today, was to go talk to he or she, make a, spread God's will, go sit by someone at lunch, or, if it was only your purpose to invite someone over for the night, or include people, like even just the small details. And sometimes people think that's not really a calling, but
it is.
Yeah.
Guess what my calling is?
What? Or helping people. Yeah.
No, it's not even, I give hope.
Give hope.
That's all I do. Well, that's what I figured out in the last 6 months, really, Matthew, was my mission is to give. And I hear it all the time when people sit here with me on a consult, and they say, it's the first time I've had hope in a long time. So I'm like, huh. So now you'll see on our website and all that is hope, heal, thrive. But I got to start them with a little hope to know, hey, you made a big step today by coming in here to make a change in your life. And that's how we start, right? So guess what?
What?
Today, I found somebody to give hope to. So I serve my purpose. And it's
Yeah.
not this big thing, and it doesn't have to, right? A lot of times I'm like, I want to change the world. No, it's just one person. If I give hope today, I had a victory. That's what God's given me, the gift to give hope. So if I do that, I'm living out my call and my purpose. And we can all do that. Some people are encouragers, right? Some people are, right, or
Talkers,
leaders. Right? All of those things, right? It's like you have a gift to do a podcast. You want to interject in people's lives and hear stories and get them out to other people, right?
Yeah.
So you're doing what you're called to right now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, I love that so much. I guess, like, what happens if someone's just having, like, a bad day? Like, I don't like to think of it as so much of just, like, small things you can do. But I know for myself that there are some days that, like, I hear read your Bible, go to church, praise Jesus, and I believe in all those things. But, like, I guess habits, especially when you kind of are looking at more of, like, the mental health side. Like, at least for me, like, there's some things that maybe God allows or lets me go through because, he wants me to share my story on the other side of it. But, like, while going through something like a tough season or just even a tough day, are there habits, like, because, like, like habits are things you can do to, lessen the load and, like, because, like, especially if you don't feel hope, I don't know. I mean, I think, I can say confidently right now I have hope because, like, at one time my mindset was just keep coming to youth. Just keep coming to youth. And that's the only thing that was, I guess, like, that was the only thing I was called to do. The only thing, because, like, I didn't feel anything else. I still don't really read my Bible that much, but it was just like, keep showing up. And now, I don't have it perfect, but I definitely feel closer. Or, like, I just feel like there's this connection. I don't know how to explain it, but
here's the thing, man. Jesus, and sometimes that's the thing we get caught up into. And is reading the Bible a good thing? Absolutely.
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
But that's not what Jesus said. Go read the Bible all day long. No, he said, come, follow me.
Pick up your cross, bear your cross, and follow me.
He challenges us to do things, right? Now, should we be in the Word? Because, it's Spirit-led. But there's going to be times when we're in mental places when people's brains are shut down, telling them, hey, you just need a little more prayer. You just don't believe enough. It's flat out wrong. And that's what we do a lot of times as believers. We're telling people, well, you just don't have enough faith. It's like, why would we say that stuff? We can't see what's going on in the upstairs, right? The upgrade hasn't happened yet. Like, hey, we're upgrading our phones all the time, but none of us are upgrading this, right? Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. That's what we're after. And then Jesus takes over that. So the habit is, it's okay to have a bad day, number one.
Okay.
And some days you just don't do anything. That's fine. And Jesus is okay with it, believe it or not, I think. It's not like, hey, keep going more and more. That's the Christian mentality that's not attracting people. Jesus came to change the world, and he's going to use us, but it's also, he wants me aligned with him so that I surrendered my plans, my goals, my dreams to what he's after, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And habits are a great thing. I'm a very habit person.
Routine.
Right? Yeah, in a routine. Yeah. But is that always Spirit-led? So now I leave time in my calendar for something like this, right? To where I can come in and hopefully give something that gives hope to one person, maybe through this podcast today, hopefully, right? That's all we're after. I always say. That's all we got to do. If we touch one person, Matthew, man, we had a heck of a session right here.
Perfect,
Right?
Well, I can say, like, kind of routine thinking. It's kind of weird. I didn't think about this, but, like, I can say, like, a lot of the times I just want it to go the way that I want it to be. And, like, even just that thinking, it might sound, like, kind of absurd, but that's not, like, that's selfish thinking. That's not, for others. That's for myself, for me. And, like, it's really frustrating. And I still look back at it and I'm like a little bit like, oh, he was right. But my grandpa, whenever I'd get upset at my brothers or anything, maybe it was at like a family gathering or something like that, but he'd be like, you are so, he has the right to call me out, but he was like, you're being selfish. And then, I'm sure there's even like selfishness towards the Lord. And
Well, here's selfishness. Think about this. When we're not given our gifts, so out of us will flow.
Yeah.
When we're connected to source, we flow. So think about that. What's water do?
It
Water
flows.
It flows. It can go over obstacles. It can go around obstacles. It come around a corner and it's bigger. It can get small, and then all of a sudden it's magical. Think of like the Amazon or something. Like, whoa, that's the kingdom of God. That's what we want to invite people into, Matthew. Not all these rules, all this other stuff. We want to invite them into something. That's what's going to attract people to Jesus. That I'm all in because I know this dude has power. And I know he can fill me with it, and I know he wants me to just go and love and not condemn or judge. I mean, a lot of times the Christian logo is the pointed finger. Like Nike has the swoosh. Yeah. Sometimes our logo is the pointed finger because we're pointing at people not doing what we think they should do, and we judge them. Instead of just saying, can I learn about them and see where they're at? Because guess what? There might be some health issues in there we don't know about, and they can't even hear the word of God because they're shut down.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can totally relate to that. I mean, I can tell you right now I'm reading some C.S. Lewis, some of The Great Divorce. But, like, it's just kind of like Pride. We're right now only, like, in chapter 5. But it's just really fascinating of, like, how, even amongst Christians, like, I think there was a question asked today to me, but it was, like, something along the lines of, is there any practices that kind of prohibit us from really pursuing God and Jesus? And I think there's definitely practices, and even maybe, I guess this might be a little controversial, but I've always been told, religion is a man-made thing. Following Jesus is another thing.
It's a spirit thing.
Yeah, it's a spirit thing.
Right. He didn't remember. Did Jesus say anywhere there, hey, get more religion?
No.
He came and really was hard on the religious, right, all the time.
Well, yeah, the Pharisees, the Sanhedrin.
Yeah,
he
jacked them. He was like on them. Like he's like, no, we ain't doing that. He didn't say start more religions.
No.
He said, no, come follow me and make disciples to his way of thinking, his way of doing business, his way of transacting with other people. That's what he did. And he would meet with the worst of the worst.
Yeah.
And we want to judge them and say, well, they can't be in our churches because you do this or that. That ain't nowhere in the scripture, right?
Yeah.
He says we come alive and see people the way Jesus sees them, and then we can meet them where they're at. And then guess what? We might actually get a chance to share Jesus to them because they start to trust us.
Well, yeah. And kind of go back to what I was kind of saying of like, I don't know. It was like one guy talking to another guy. One was in heaven. One is in hell. Two different characters, but one guy was talking about like how he deserved, right? He lived in this kind of perfect life, but yeah, somehow he's in hell. And then this person who's not, he was a murderer and he's in heaven. But one thing that I'd like to point out is that we deserve death. We deserve ultimate punishment. But we have we have a just and loving God, and that's
and that's what we want people to get, right?
Yeah, like you should give them something to like be fired about.
Well, and think about what Jesus said, right? I came to give life, Matthew, and give it abundantly. And we always think, well, all these things, I can buy a car, I can do this, and buy more Bitcoin, or whatever, right? But he's like, I came to give, and the things he gives abundant. Think about the things we really do want: the peace, the love, the joy. He gives those in abundance. It overflows when I'm in connection with the source, with God and Jesus. That's when I'm truly alive and I'm living at my best. Because all the other stuff is just stuff that we can go away in a hurry, right? And the rest we want, and then it affects us.
Mm-hmm. I guess what I'd like to leave everyone with, in kind of like a thing that I just heard last night, and it's not even so much on like point, and it's just kind of more of like outside thinking. It's out of the box thinking. But Barabbas, right? Or he was the prisoner that was freed in exchange of Jesus.
Yep.
What happens if he were to have been like, because in a way, Jesus not only saved his life but saved all our lives. But like, what happens if Barabbas was to like take him? And it was just so out of box thinking. But like, what happens if he were to have said, "Oh my gosh," like, because he basically got a renewal of life. He got a second chance. What happens if he were to have been like, "I'm gonna go tell everyone about what Jesus had just done," and think about all the people he could have reached. So just like leaving you guys with that, and because like I don't want to look back and be like, think about all the people that I could have told about mental health or how they can get closer to Jesus, or dig into your gifts, reach into them. There's a plan for you. There's a purpose for you. And I'd hate to look back and be like, I could have reached these people. And well, so I don't know. That's just kind of an out of box thinking. I don't know.
I like it.
Yeah.
It's good.
Could I do one final section? Kind of like,
Yeah.
it's called rapid fire. 3 questions. They're not, well, I'll ask you. And
Just go at them.
what is your favorite dad joke?
My favorite dad
Well, see,
joke.
that I was talking to my dad.
How about my mom jokes?
Yeah, you got any?
No, we don't want to talk about. I love moms.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if I got a favorite dad joke. I don't know if I have any, Matthew. Like,
Yeah, I was talking to my dad the other day. He's like, I don't think Leroy's, that's kind of on the spot. Well, it is, but I still wanted to ask it because.
Yeah, I don't have one. I'm sorry.
Okay, what about this? So that one's done. What sport team would you bet on? And yeah, like what sport, what team, and what would you bet? Yeah.
And how much would I bet?
Or yeah,
Yeah.
just what sport team would you bet on?
That's present right now, or can it be in the past?
Anything.
Yeah, I probably bet on Tom Brady when he was at the New England Patriots, and I put a lot on it. They're gonna win, right? And
Well,
I
yeah,
load up
that'd be
on it.
nice now because like all the 6 rings, 7, something like that. Yeah.
But right now, probably the Boston Celtics, right? The Baltimore Ravens.
Okay.
Probably pretty good bets.
See, see, if we were doing a sports podcast, I might not be the best. Not gonna lie. And then, what are you hoping for Christmas? Like a gift, or just even, I don't know, anything.
You know, really for me, it's just hanging with my family and just being thankful for what I have. And I'm going to be in Florida with my family. So
Yeah, nice.
I'm hoping
So
to play some really good golf.
So no
And
white
shorts.
Christmas.
No, and I'm so excited about that, Matthew. I want to play some really good golf, and I want to beat my kids.
Hey, that's good.
That's
Good.
it, because I like to win.
Yeah.
In the name of Jesus.
Yeah. Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to say, or?
You know, number one, thank you. And again, I'm so proud of you, Matthew, just for what you're doing. And this is fun for me. And just to see you, how you're growing, okay? And what the reading and how you're talking, dude. It makes me just ecstatic for you, dude.
Thank you.
I think, too, don't get caught up in the good days too much or the bad days. Know that there's a plan for your life, and you can't see it. And think long term, not short term. That what I don't have. So I'm coming up with a new idea, like victories, a MindGym journal that talks about the victories, and write down how did you have a victory today. And that might not just be what went good, but maybe how you handled something that's with somebody that was not going well, or how you handled a challenge or a bad grade. And let's keep track of victories, right? And not of, hey, man, this today and I didn't do that. Because the world's reminding us all the time of where maybe you're falling short. But Jesus is in the things of, man, look at this, look at that. And we bring him joy by using what he did. And here's the other thing. Jesus didn't make any junk. He thought about you when him and God were doing the whole thing. He was putting it all together for us, and we're right where we need to be right now, and that's where you just want to be, and be thankful we are. Instead of, hey, I wish I was here, I wish I was doing that. No. And just let him come in and do the work sometimes, okay?
Perfect. Thank you so much. That's a wrap. Thank you guys for listening to the Brick House Podcast, and come and check out MindGym and look a little bit more into LeRoy Matticks. Thank you. Bye.
I was hating on me and they tell me I'm nothing, but really I'm trying to survive. Say you believe in the Lord, do you really have faith in our God? Is you ready to die? Water's getting wicked, so the people are God now. Was it time to go rise? Had to listen to the signs. Lord used me as the vessel to preach to the guys. Time and time again. Running back to sin, now it's time to win. I'ma get it in. I ain't never gonna fold on the present. Lord, I've been writing you letters. I started leading my girl, she making me better. Put on my